beyond cards and crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to craft with the wonderful June kit and it's called Summer Loving. I'm going to be making 10 cards in this video, so you might want to get yourself a nice glass of wine or a cup of tea or coffee or even a soft drink. Or you might have me on while you're crafting yourself. Anyway, I'm going to make 10 cards. In the description, I will have the measurements for each card, as well as the timestamp for each card. So if you watch the video and decide, oh, I like card 6, I want to make that, then you can just check in the description, card 6, the timestamp it's at, and then jump to that card. This kit is a Love from Lizi kit. It's a subscription kit. I'll have links down in the description below for the Love from Lizi subscription, as well as the website where you can get peel-offs, stamps, dies, and a plethora of so much more. So I'm going to start now with card 1. So let's have a look at the products we're going to need to make this card. So for card 1, I have a piece of 300 GSM white cardstock. It measures 9 by 5 and I've scored it at 2. This is going to give me a 5 by 7 card when we're finished, so we'll need a 5 by 7 envelope for this card. It's a lattice card and it's inspired by B.B. Cameron. I have made these on my channel before, but I really thought this would be lovely using this kit. I also have 4 pieces of white cardstock. Again, this is the 300 GSM cardstock. These measure 6 inches by 1/2 inch and we'll want 4 of those, and I have them here. Next then I have these. It's 5 pieces of 300 white GSM cardstock. These are 3/4 inch by 5 inches. And like I said, I have 5 of these, and these will make up the lattice piece for our card. I have this piece which I'm going to put inside my card. Now, I haven't done this on previous lattice cards. This piece measures 6 7/8 by 4 3/4, and I have scored it at 1/2 inch. I want to put this inside my card, and the lattice pieces will go over the top. It'll be a top folding card. So I'm going to add tape onto the back of this. I'm going to then stick it down onto my piece like so, and then that'll sit in there. And then for a finish, I have this strip. Again, it's 4 3/4 and it's just under 1/2 inch. This is an offcut of the pattern paper, and I want to have this inside the card. So when you lift this piece up, this will be at the bottom of my card, and then my sentiment will be in here, and it'll all become clear as we start making the card. I've taken this little sunshine, it's a sticker, and it's a shaker sticker, so it's got little pieces in it. It's like a puffy sticker. I'm going to use that to embellish my card. And then I've taken this piece. This was on, we got 2 sheets, and both of them were cut down. They're 12 by 12 sheets, and on one of them there was a cut apart, and I just fussy cut out around it and have the thinking of you. I thought that would be nice to have in my card. So I'll have the thinking of you probably here on the lattice, and my little sunshine up here. So that's all the pieces we need to make our card. I'm going to go ahead now and assemble it. So I have my card base. It's a top fold card, and I have 2 of my 1/2 inch strips here just sitting inside. This piece will come down and it'll glue onto those. Then we can put our strips going across, and then we'll put our other 2 on top. So that's why I have them in there. Is our lattice card. That sits up lovely like that, and then you can embellish it as you like. You can just put your embellishment on the front and have it like so, and stamp a message then on the inside. But you will see the message through it if you have the gap, so you could put your message on the back if you like. That's why I'm going to go with this little piece here for inside. So I'm going to pop that down like that. So now I've brought that up so it's just below the score line, so it'll allow me to close my card. And you can see then we have a nice little gap going the whole, well, on those three sides, the sides and the bottom. So I'm happy with that. And that means now that we can open this because we have our little score line there, so this will open. We can stamp a message in here, and I'm going to do that later. I'm going to leave the cards really without a sentiment for now, and that way I can have this in my stash and I can add a sentiment to it later as I need it, because this might be a nice hello card, or a nice thinking of you card, or a nice get well card. I know I have the thinking of you on this little piece, but it does mean, you know, you could have get well soon with thinking of you or whatever, you know. So I just think it allows more leeway. So I'm going to add my little puffy sticker, my little sunshine, and I want to make sure it's the right way up. So I think that is the right way up. So I'm going to stick that up here. And then I'm going to add this piece here. Now I did fussy cut out a butterfly, so I think I might add that as well. So there is our thinking of you. That is card 1, our lattice card, all done. Let's move on now to card number 2. For card 2, we're going to make a teepee card, and this is inspired by Sam from Mixed Up Crafts. This card will be a large card, so I've made an envelope that this is going to fit in. I've used my We Are Memory Keepers punch board, or envelope punch board, for this, and I've made the envelope using the measurements for a 6.5 by 8.5 inch envelope. So although the card won't sit as big when it's in its flat position, it does need an envelope this size. But there are loads of tutorials on the internet for smaller size teepee cards. So if you want to make a smaller one, you can have a look if you've never seen it before, and maybe that'll inspire you then to make a smaller one if that's what you'd prefer. For my one though, I have 3 pieces of white cardstock. These all measure 6 by 6, and what I've done is I have scored them diagonally from the top left to the bottom right, right to the corner points on all 3 pieces. Next then, I've taken a piece of 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 paper, the colored paper that came. You'll need one of these and then one of the pattern paper pieces, and we're going to cut them diagonally through like so. So I've done that with this one, but then I have taken the second piece and I have cut 2 little corners. We'll need 2 little corners from that. So from this second piece of pattern paper, I cut this piece, and it measures 2 1/8 by 2 1/8, and that 1/8 is very important. And again, I cut that diagonally through, and that is what will give us then our corner pieces. So once you have all your pieces, what you'll need then is embellishment. So I have taken from the Love from Lizi, I have in my stash these, they're word and shadow dies that I got from the Love from Lizi website, and I love the happy birthday. It gives you the shadow as well as the word, and I just love the size of these. So these aren't from the kit. I leave links to them if they're available on the website, but I'm going to embellish my card with these. I've also taken one of the puffy stickers, the little bear, and I have that stuck on. I've made a little rosette, and I have glued that together. I've taken the hooray, it's one of the cut apart ephemera pieces, and I have fussy cut that out. And then I've taken this, it's 2 little magnets. I got these online. They're little magnets, but they're a soft magnet, and these are going to help our card to close. So they just stick together. You can use Velcro dots, magnets, whatever you like, but I have these little ones. I leave links to them as well. So now our 3 pieces of white cardstock, we need to fold and burnish each of those score lines. So I'm going to do that before I do anything else. Now, once you have that done, we need to join these 3 together. So I'm taking my first piece, which I have here on the table, and I'm going to have it so that it's the point, the score line is in the vertical position. I'm going to take this second one, the score line is diagonally, and I'm going to glue that on there like so. So I'm just taking this edge here and I'm gluing it to where the score line is and the piece that's flat. So I'm using liquid adhesive now on my triangle pieces, and I really only need to add it 2/3 of the way down, because as I add these 2 down, I then realize that I've put too much glue. You'll see that now. And that's how our Teepee card then will sit. Now I've added glue to the bottom, so don't do that, but that's okay, because I'm going to add my little corner pieces on here like so. So that'll cover up a lot of the glue that I've put down, and I'll use my adhesive ruler. Now I was going to edit this piece out. I was going to take them apart and then go through it again, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to leave it in, because a lot of people make little mistakes, and I'm one of those as well. So I thought I'm going to leave that in. So I have one piece on there, and I'm going to add this other piece then over here. And that's the great thing with this collal glue. I can take my little adhesive eraser, and it will just lift up the glue for me, and it doesn't leave any residue or anything there. That's why I love using this for when I make mistakes. We need to pop some of our patterned paper down on these ones. So our pattern paper then will sit like so. This piece here is so we have somewhere to write a message. You could also put your message on the inside if you wanted, on the inside of your card. So now I have my magnets in place, and I have to say I'm not too impressed with these little black magnets. They're not holding very well, so I've put 2 regular little magnets on there. So make sure whatever you're using to attach is working, but you can see there that my little metal magnets are actually catching on no problem. So now we have our beautiful Teepee style card. All we need to do is embellish it. So I want to add this piece on here. Now when this goes into the envelope, it will sit like so, just like that. So the person will open it and fold these over. So I think you might want to hand deliver this maybe, so you can explain how it actually closes. But that's how it will sit when it goes into the envelope. So whatever you're putting on this part here, along here, you need to make sure that it's not going to extend too much out this way. You've got all the room over here to add something, so our piece can go on there like that, because when this card is in the closed position, you see it'll sit like that, and when it's opened then it will sit like so. So I hope you can see that. It's kind of hard. Let me zoom out a little bit. So you can see there, it'll sit on like that when it's open and sit down like so. And then when the card is closed to go into the envelope, it'll be like that. So be very aware when you're adding anything onto your Teepee card where you're putting them. So I'm going to have that, and I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue, and I've got my glue gun here ready to go. So I'll leave that to heat up, and once that's heated up, then I can glue that on. Now you can use liquid adhesive, whatever you like. You can use double-sided tape. I'm just going with my glue gun just to make it easy for me. So I'm going to stick that on there like so. And I know then once that is closed, there's loads of room, and once the card is flipped open, it'll sit like that. Now I've made sure the teddy bear is sitting straight when this is open. So just make sure you watch the orientation you're putting things on. So now I've got my happy birthday, and I can add my happy up here, and then my birthday can go down here like so. Now I have 5 little gems, and an odd number always looks better. So that is how that's going to sit. This is so cool. I do love it, and I love the big size. And like I said, you could write a message on the inside there, or you can put your happy birthday message on the outside here. But that is our lovely Teepee card, and I think that looks so cool, and I hope you'll agree with me. A really cool card to make, and a very special one for a very special birthday. So now that we have that done, let's move on now to card number 3. So for card 3, I have an A2 American size card, and I'm using this lovely pink cardstock that came in the kit to make this card base. I have 2 pieces of blue and 2 pieces of white cardstock. These are both going to sit on the outside and the inside. So my blue piece measures 4 by 5 1/4, and my white piece measures 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm going to leave the inside blank so I can put my message on at a later date. On the outside of this, I have an ephemera piece. I've added some foam tape on the back that's going to sit on top. And then I've taken some pattern paper. These 3 strips measure 1 inch. And you might notice here, if I put them together, that all 3 are a different length. So this is 1 inch by 4. This piece is 1 inch by 4 1/4. And then this piece is 1 inch by 4 1/2. So I have 3 pattern paper strips, and they're descending in length. Now I've rounded over using a die from the circle nested dies from Love from Lizi, and I've just partially die cut them to get this rounded over edge on those. This piece of ephemera is going to sit across there, and that'll give our sentiment to the front of our card. And like I said, the inside will be blank so that we can put our handwritten message on the inside. So that's all the pieces that we're going to need for this card. Let's go ahead now and assemble it. So there we go. There is card number 3, our A2 American size card. And isn't that just so pretty with our foiled hello there ephemera piece? I added some jewels to our little flowers there and a couple more here on the bottom right. And then inside we've plenty of room to write a message to the recipient. And I've also used one of the washi tapes. We get 2, 4, 6, 8 rolls of washi tape in our kit, and I thought this one would be nice to match our lovely pattern paper. It's not an exact match, but I do think it adds a bit of the floral from what we have going on out here. Now we could have added a little piece, a strip of the pattern paper itself inside, but I liked the idea of adding the washi tape. I did take a little bit of Cosmic Shimmer glue and put that down on the white piece and then added the washi tape, because some of them can be low tack, but there seems to be a good stick on this washi tape, but I added the glue just to make sure it doesn't peel off. So that is card number 3. Next we're moving on to card number 4. So here we are at card number 4, and this card it's a type of zigzag card. Again, there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube for this style of card, and this is my version. So to start off, we have some cardstock here. For this card, I have mostly used craft cardstock from my stash. I've then taken the stamps that came in the stamp set. You can see here, I've used the flip-flop, this one, so it fills in. This one is just the outline. So I've used these, so they're like footprints in the sand. I've used the little birds as well as the starfish stamps. So I have taken some craft card and I have stamped all over it, and then I have cut my pieces down as I need them. We get 3 dies in the set as well, in the kit, and I did show in the unboxing, but if you die cut out your sun, I've used this color yellow cardstock here, it's an orangey yellow. If you leave it in the die and go over it with your blending brushes in a darker color, then you're using the die in effect like a stencil. So when you then take it out, you have this lovely embellishing on your sunshine, so it gives it a dimensional look, and I love that. So I have some stars etc cut out, or stars, suns etc cut out, and I'll show you that in a minute. So first of all, we're going to look at this. I have a piece here of cardstock, and it measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4.25. As you can see, I've done some stamping on this piece, and I've also got a white piece inside. This piece measures 4 by 5.25. I've stamped my little flip-flop footprints, try saying that fast 3 times, as well as my starfish, the birds, and I've popped one of my die cuts on there. I've used the sentiment, "You're flipping amazing," inside. Now this is going to be a birthday card. So this is our main card base, and onto that then I'm going to add a piece, my zigzag piece here. And again, you can see I've done some stamping on this side as well as the other side, and I have some scoring done, and I've added a piece of pattern paper. So first of all, if you can imagine, this is one piece of cardstock that measures 11.75 by 5.5. So imagine this is all one piece. I've scored it at 1/2 inch, at 4.25, and then at 8.5. I've taken my scissors to the top left hand, and I have cut down in a diagonal. Now I've cut down to here. From the bottom right up to here is 2 inches. So I have a 2-inch mark there, and my diagonal cut from the left hand side is gone down to that 2-inch mark. You can see then I have a piece of pattern paper here, and this started off as a piece of pattern paper, and it measured 2 7/8 by 2 5/8. I measured up 1 3/4, and then I did the same thing again. I cut diagonally from the top left hand piece of my pattern paper down to my 1 3/4 mark that I put on the pattern paper, and I've stuck that piece in there. I figured rather than using pattern paper for these panels, I would use my stamp that came in the set to embellish this. So once we have that done, then you can see we have 3 score lines. So this one we're going to fold as a mountain. This one becomes a valley, and this one becomes a mountain. Now, actually, this is a valley, this is a valley, and this is a mountain. This tab here of a 1/2 inch, this is going to sit onto our card base like so. And then this one is going to fold out and down and back. So you can see here, this piece isn't going right over to the end because I was working with the length of the cardstock, the craft card that I had, but I don't mind that. I'm going to make a feature of it. I've taken this piece, it was an ephemera piece, and what I've done is I've added a die cut to it. You can see here I have the happy and the birthday die cuts, and again these are from the Love from Lizi word and shadow dies that I got from the website. So I've stuck the birthday onto the sentiment that was at the bottom of this ephemera piece because I didn't want that sentiment, so I've that cut off. And I've also then got a couple of my little suns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this little tab down onto my card base. I'm going to add one of my little suns here. I'm going to add my birthday along here. I'm going to add another little sun over here. I'm going to pop one over here, and then I'm going to put this piece over here, and I'm going to set it up so that my birthday doesn't come past my card base, so it's going to fit in my card and it'll sit on like so. So that's basically how my card is going to look. Now it's a matter of putting it all together. So let's assemble it together. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, and then once I have it put together, we'll have a look at the card. So now we have our card assembled, and isn't it such a happy little card, a happy little birthday card. We have our place on the inside where we can put our message to the recipient, and then we have this fab panel that will open like so. And because we have our tab there, it'll allow our piece to sit like that on a mantelpiece or a shelf. It can be expanded as much or as little as the recipient likes. I just think this is very cute. It's very unusual, I think. So I'm loving this. The only thing I want to do now is add some accent glaze or glossy accents, whatever you have in your stash. I did use my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen on my 4 suns, so I will add some accent glaze now just to the center where I put my sparkle pen. I'll add that into the center there. So that's it. We're going to move on now to card 5. For card 5, we're going to make a centerfold panel card, and this is inspired by Sam from Mixed Up Crafts. This is my A2 American style size version of this one. So this piece that I have here, it measures 9.5 by 4.25, and we've done a couple of score lines on this. So we have a score line at 2 3/4. We have a score line at 3 3/4. We have one at 5 3/4 and at 6 3/4. So these are going to fold. So we're going to do a valley, a mountain, and then a valley. So our card will sit in like so. So this will fit now in a 4¼ by 5½ envelope. It'll sit in. And when the recipient takes it out, it'll sit up like so. I want to embellish all these panels now. So I have these 2 pieces of pattern paper. These 2 measure 2½ by 4 inches and they'll sit like so. Then I have 2 strips in blue and 2 strips in pattern paper. And the blue is the paper, the colored paper that we got in the kit. So I'm going to use these on the back, on the opposite side to here. So these 2 pieces are going to sit in here like so. And then I have 2 pieces of the blue, and these 2 measure 1¾ by 4. One is going to sit there on the front, and this one is going to sit underneath that at the back. So we'll have 2 pieces, 3 pieces like this on the back of our card. I had some of the pattern paper offcuts, so I have cut these 2. They measure 2½ by just ½ inch, and they'll sit across the back like so. And then that'll give us room on the back piece where we have pattern paper here on the front. It'll give us the white panels there on the back. So there'll be room, we can stamp a message or write a message, etc. on the back. I've taken one of the cut aparts now, and I have my measurements here. The cut apart measures 3 by 3½, and then the white panel measures 3¼ by 3¾ I've added some foam to the back of my cut apart and some foam running down along the middle there of the white panel. This is going to sit in here like so. Now, you don't need to use foam. You can just glue the 2 panels together and then glue the panel onto that center panel there if you like. I've taken 2 of the little ephemera pieces. One is Celebrate, and this is what it looked like when it came out of the pack. So that is going to sit there like so. This one had a long piece and a flat end, and I fishtailed it because it had a fishtail on one end. So I fishtailed the other end. So it would resemble this one. This one had the lovely cut there on the right as well as the left. So I want to kind of, you know, do the same for this piece. So one will go there and one will go there. And then for a finish, what I have is, I have this. It's a die set that we got in our June 2022 kit called Hello Sunshine. In that we got 2 dies, this lovely little bird and this dandelion. And I wanted the dandelion because it goes with the dandelion on our pattern paper. So I have die cut out 2 of these in white cardstock. And then I took my colouring pencils and I coloured them in. I just kind of went with what was going on here and in the pattern paper. So I hope you can see I used dark brown for the seed head, and then I used 2 different greens there for the stem, darker green on the outside and a lighter green on the inside of the stem. I used my Brut Funner pencils. I used number 145, 116 and 081, and the numbers of the pencils that I used will be down in with the card measurements. So I'm going to add these little pieces here and here. So I know they kind of get lost on the card when you're looking at it there and the pattern paper on the back, but you really can see them quite well. And I think what I'll do is add a tiny little foam pad on the back there so it lifts it up a little bit, and then just stick the bottom of the stem down so they'll be lifted a little. And I'm going to add some foam pads to the back of my Happy Day and my Celebrate as well. So now it's a matter of gluing down all our pattern paper, etc. So let's assemble the card next. That is card number 5. It's our center fold card. It has a lovely profile when it's standing. I think it looks really, really nice with our dandelions, one of my favorite flowers. Even though they're considered a weed, they are the first types really of flowers that feed the bees. So that's why I love the dandelions. So there we go, our center fold card. Let's move on now to card number 6. So here we are at card number 6, and this is going to be a pillar card. It's inspired by Iced Images. She has done something like this, so this is my version of it. This is going to be an A2 American size card, but because of how it's going to flatten, I'll need to put it in a bigger envelope. And I've made a 4.5 by 7 envelope. I've used my We Are Memory Keepers punch board, envelope punch board, to make that. So I have my envelope ready to go. So this piece measures 11 by 4.25, and I've scored it at 5.5. That'll give us a top folding card. On the inside of this then I have a piece of white cardstock, and it measures 4 inches by 5.25. I have a piece of the pattern paper and some of the cardstock, and this is cardstock that came in the kit, by the way, that I have here. My yellow piece measures 3 3/4 by 1 inch. My pattern paper, it measures 3.5 by 3/4 of an inch. So onto that then at the front, we're going to put 2 pillars, and I have them both here. These pieces measure 4.5 by 4.25. I've scored both of these pieces at 1/2 inch, 1.5, 2.5 and 3.5. And they'll all be mountain folds, and they will stick down like so. So I've just given a 1/2 inch tab there that it'll stick to. And that way then, these 2 pillars, one will sit at the top of our card base and on the front, and the other one then will sit at the bottom here. And they'll fold flat like so. One will fold up and the other will fold up that way. So that's why we need a longer envelope for this to fit into. So now between our 2 pillars, I've got some pattern paper, and I'm just gonna pop them up there so you have a better idea of how it looks. This piece measures 4 by 3.5, and it's going to fit in here between our 2 pillars. I've then taken this piece of ephemera. It's going to sit between the 2 pillars, but it's a little bit short, so it wouldn't reach. So I've taken this piece. It's a piece that measures 4.25 by 1 inch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack that on here like so, down through the middle, and then I can sit my little rainbow on the top like that. I've then got these pieces, and I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, I've 6 of these. These pieces measure 4 by 3/4 of an inch, and they are going to go on over our pillars like so. So I have 1 to go there, and I'm going to put them on the 3 sides of our pillar that you can see. Now this is one of the cut apart sheets that I've used because it has, you know, pattern paper on the back, but it's all sentiments that's on there. So I'm going to put those on the pillars. And then we did have washi tape. So if you didn't want to use pattern paper, you could embellish the panels using the washi tape if you wanted. And we got loads of different rolls. I think this one would look great on it. Or you could use this one with the lovely ice cream cones as well. So whichever you like, you can use either the washi tape or the pattern paper. There's the postman. Excuse me. So I'm back. And as you can see, I have finished the card. What actually happened was, it wasn't the postman, it was thunder and lightning. We've been having that over the last couple of days. And although our older dog, Buster, doesn't mind the thunder at all, our younger dog, Ghost, does. He gets very frightened, and he barks at it. So I pressed pause, I went out to deal with him, and when I came back, I forgot to press record again, and so I was chatting away making this lovely card, and then it was only when I went to hit stop at the end I realized I'd never hit record again. So I do apologize. So rather than leaving you hanging and just explaining how I've made the card, I've actually gone ahead and cut the pieces out again, and I'm going to run through it quickly with you how I made this. Now, I don't have enough pieces from this June Summer Loving kit to make this, so I'm using the Christmas in June Love from Lizi kit. If you haven't seen my video, my 5 cards using that kit, I leave a link down in the description. So I'm going to use some of the pattern paper and one of the ephemera pieces as well. So my ephemera piece will be like my happy birthday rainbow there. So I have my card base, which we've seen already. I've that made, and I have stuck just a piece of pattern paper inside rather than the 2 pieces that I have done in here. Then we have our 2 pillars, which we have scored, and we're going to burnish those. Once you have those burnished, then what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of glue to our 1/2 inch tab. Now you can just use double-sided tape if you want, or you know, a tape runner, whatever you use in your craft room, you go ahead and use. Now I'm going to use my Cosmic Shimmer glue. That's a quick grab glue, and it's one I like to go to. I'll also be using my Kalal glue to put in my pattern papers. So I'm going to move these 2 out so I can show you how I do the pillars. So we have our score lines 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have our 1/2 inch tab here on the left hand side. I'm going to fold these over on the second score line like so. Then I'm going to take my quick grab glue and I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to that 1/2 inch tab that's there. So once I've run some glue all over that, I can then fold it. Now you can see there's a score line here. I'm folding it over on that score line and I'm going to press down. I'm going to give it a second for that glue to dry, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it up into its pillar. And what I want to do is I want to fold it over and fold it back. I just want to make sure that when this goes on the card, it's going to be able to move, and that then will give us our pillar. So I'm going to do the same now on this one. I'm going to fold this in on the second score line on the left. I'll add my liquid glue onto this piece, and then I'll fold over on this score line here on the right. And once that's on there and it has taken, I can then fold it over, and that'll make sure that it's going to fold nicely when we add it to our card base. Now to add this to my card base, and I know white isn't the best of colors that I could have chosen, but I've got my little 1/2 inch tab in here. You can see it just there. I want to add glue to the back side of this so it'll sit down like so with our tab on the inside there. So I'm going to add glue to this back part with the quick grab, and then I'm just going to line this up with the top of my card. So it should be nice and even on the sides and nice and even on the top. And once I have that in place, then I can press that down. I can flatten it. You see there, I've gone from it being like this to flatten it, and that'll help me then to put a bit of pressure down on our liquid adhesive and get it to stick. So now we want to do the same with the bottom one. Now you can take your piece of pattern paper that we have here and you can add that in now if you wish, and then add down your other panel. It's up to yourself. We might do it that way. It'll be easier, I think, in the long run. I just slipped it in when I was doing it on the other card, but we can add that panel. the pattern paper panel in now. So once I have my adhesive on that, I'm going to add that in, and I'm putting it right up to the top where our pillar is, and I just want to make sure I have the same gap on both sides. I should have a nice even gap either side, so you can see there's a nice even border there. Now I'm going to take my other pillar, and again I want to make sure that my tab is going to be facing down. So again, I'm going to add some liquid glue to this. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to line this up, excuse me, with the bottom of my card. And I'm just going to stand the whole thing flat, and that way I can be sure that that is in there nicely. And again, I can add a bit of pressure to that, so I can press down. And I'll just make sure my pattern paper is all down nicely. And there we go. There are our two pillars in here. So when we want to flatten this to put it in an envelope, these two will flatten like so to go in an envelope. Now, if you have a piece of ephemera that's going to fit between the two of them to glue down, then you can do that. Or you might die cut out a panel that you want to go on there. Because I'm using a piece of ephemera, I'm going to add a little strut or a support. Now, you can take it in your cardstock. You can see here on my original card, I had my yellow piece to go there, and it is bridging for my rainbow to sit on top. You could use a piece of white cardstock to go on there, and then that would sit on top like so. Or you could use a piece of acetate, and if you use some acetate, then you won't see that at all. You won't see the white piece. But I don't mind, because I have my little strips of pattern paper that are going to go on there like so, and then we'll have another one on there like that. So like I said, you can do that strut or that support in acetate or in card. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I add the white piece, the strut, this piece here, because if you don't get this on right, you want to make sure when the card flattens down that this piece is going to lay flat. So having this flattened down, I want to add a little bit of glue to the bottom here and the top here, not more than about 1/4 of an inch down. So I'll add a bit there and a bit on the top, and then I'm going to flatten my two pillars so they're set down. The glue on the top one is going to sit above the score line here, so we're going to kind of gauge it so it's in the middle. And we want the same amount on the top as on the bottom. So that will sit there. It's flattened down. I'm going to press that down there, and then I'm going to press this one down here. Again, there's more thunder. I don't know if the microphone is picking it up, so I do apologize. So just allow that piece there, that panel there, to set, for the glue to set, and then you can see when you lift one panel, the other panel moves with it. So it means when we flatten it down, that'll flatten down like so. So that means now we can add on our pattern paper. Now we're going to add pattern paper to the inside here, to this part here, and then to the top here. So I'm going to add my pattern paper strips next. I'm going to speed through doing that, and then we'll add our decoupage panel. Now we have all our pattern paper on our two pillars. So all we need to do now is add our piece for the center. And because this is a decoupage piece with some foam tape in between, I'm just going to glue this straight down. But you can see here with my rainbow one, I added foam behind my rainbow and lifted it up off that panel. So I'm going to glue this piece down now, and I'll just add a little bit of glue to our center panel, our little piece here, and then I can add this on over the top and hopefully get that nice and straight. I'll just flatten that down, and then I can add a little pressure to that. And there we go. There is our 2 cards, our Christmas in June card that we've made. A little extra, and you can see then our lovely card that we made using this kit, our summer loving kit. And I have to say, it's a lovely style of card. I know we need to make a bigger envelope for that, but sure, that's no bother really for us card makers. So here we are at card 7, and this card is going to be a tentfold card. I'm making this as a 6x6 tentfold card, but you could make it any size that you like. For this card, we'll need a piece measuring 12x6. Now, onto that, we need to add some things. First of all, this card, when it's folded, it's going to become a top fold card. So you know how I like a side folding card, but for a 10 fold, we need it to be a top fold card. So our card will sit in that orientation. At the bottom, we need to add a piece, and that's what makes it a 10 fold. So I have a piece here. It measures 5 7/8 by 3 inches. And on the 3-inch side, I've scored it at 1/2 inch, 1.5, and 2.5. We're going to then fold them into a mountain, a valley, and a mountain. And then these are going to sit in here in the shape of a W. So it's going to sit on there like so. That'll sit there, and then the front of our card will sit there, and it'll close over like that. So that is our tent fold. Now, you don't write anything inside. We're going to embellish the front, and then on the back we'll have room to write our message to whoever the recipient is. So let's have a look at the front. I'm embellishing this with a piece of green cardstock. It measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Hello, Buster. Have you come in to say hello? I just gave them a treat. So he's in to say hello. Where are you, Buster? Come over here till we see you. You come over to say hello. Huh? There's my little buddy. He's heading off now, back out to the bed while I'm here crafting. Now, before we were so rudely interrupted, I have my matte layer in this green card, and then I have this piece of pattern paper, and this measures 5.5 by 5.5. Now we could put it that way, or we can have it this way, whichever way you like. So there we go. Next, I have these 3 pieces here. My white piece measures 3.5 by 4.5, and that's going to sit in the middle there. I have another piece in green measuring 3.25 by 4.25, and that'll sit there. And then I have this piece, it's a cut apart, and this piece measures 4 by 3, and that's going to sit in there. I've got one of the little ephemera pieces, the thanks, and I've just cut it at an angle on the left hand side because the right hand side was fishtailed for me. And I'm just going to add that up here like so. I have these 2 pieces here. My green strip is 5 5/8 by 1.25, and then this was one of the strips that came on the 12 by 6 cut apart sheet. This one measures 5.5 by 1 1/8, and I'm going to put that then on the back here. And then I can stamp a sentiment there, or just leave it blank and have plenty of room for my message. So that's all the pieces we need. Let's go ahead now and assemble our card. So now we're ready to add our tent piece, and to that I'm going to use my quick grab glue to do that. So I'll take my Cosmic Shimmer, need to refill my bottle, and then I'm going to stick that down on the inside. And it's going to be in, it's up about a 1/16 of an inch. Really, I just don't want it to be exactly down, and it's just in a tiny little bit. I hope you can see that there. We have a little bit of leeway. Now I'm going to fold this down and add some liquid glue to my other little tab here. And I'll just give that now a minute for that to dry. And there is our very quick and easy tent fold 6x6 card. It sits up lovely. You can see it there on the side profile. It sits nicely. It'll open out the 2-inch, but it won't open any more than that, and it closes flat for it to go into an envelope. We have the back of our card, and like I said, I'm going to leave it blank. I can always use my stamp positioner to stamp a sentiment on there at a later date if I want, but I can leave it blank so I have lots of room for a message. And it's simply a thank you card. But isn't it lovely? I love that. So now let's move on to card number 8. So for card 8, we're going to make this sweet A2 American size card. You'll need a piece of cardstock that measures 11 by 4 1/4. Score it at 5.5, and then from the 5.5 inch score line, you're going to cut from the top there right down to the bottom right hand corner. So we're cutting this triangular piece off it. So we're going to have it sit like so when it's on a mantelpiece or a shelf. So to embellish this card then, I have this piece. This is a piece of pattern paper, and it measures 5 by 3 3/4. And you can see here then I have taken this piece and cut it again diagonally from the top left down to the bottom right. I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to sit it on our card base like so, and then this piece is going to sit on our front flap of our card like so. And then when you open it up, you have room inside to write your message, and it'll be hidden when the card is closed and comes out of the envelope. I've taken this ephemera piece. Now this is 2 ephemera pieces. There was the cherry one that's there, and then this happy B-Day one, and I've just stuck this one, the happy B-Day, on top, and I've used some foam tape to do that. I want to add this on here like so, and then I'm going to take the Make-A-Wish, and this is one that I cut out, and I showed you how to make this when we did the unboxing. I just noticed one of my little pieces has popped out, and that's because I used a tiny little bead of glue, so it just popped out there. So we'll pop it back in, just as simple as that, to paper piece. Lovely. So I'm going to pop my banner up here like so, but I'm going to add my Make-A-Wish piece over the cherries. Now I know I'm hiding the cherries and that, you know, that's what's on the background paper, but I really wanted to use the Make-A-Wish die here, so that's what I've gone ahead and done. So that's it. You can stamp a sentiment inside if you want. This is just going to be a little, you know, in an emergency card that I'm going to use. And yeah, So I'm delighted with that. I'm going to embellish it using some of the green little gems. So let's go ahead now and assemble that together. So there we go, there is our corner card, our A2 size little card, and isn't that sweet just to send? I mean, you could always put in there, sorry I missed your birthday, as well as just have a fab day, you know? I love that, so I hope you do too. Let's move on now to card number 9. For card number 9, we're going to make another A2 American size card. I have a piece of 11 by 4 1/4. I've scored it on the long side at 5 1/2, and that is going to give me a side folding A2 card. So I'm just going to burnish the side there, make sure that it folds nicely. So I have 2 pieces of white cardstock. These measure 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I've got one to go on the outside and this one is to go on the inside. I have a piece of pattern paper here. It's 4 inches by 1/2 inch, and I have embellished this using some of these beautiful blue shiny metallic peel-offs. These are straight peel-offs, and these are them here. And I've used these to embellish all our pattern paper pieces that you'll see here. So this one will go on the inside and the plain white one will go on the outside. Now I've left this so I can pop a stamped message inside or just write a message later on. So onto our white panel then, we have some more pieces here. I have this piece and it measures 5 by 3 3/4, and I've embellished that with the peel-offs. That's going to sit there like so. Then I have this piece. This measures 3 3/4 by 3 1/4, and that's going to sit in here. Then I have my floral piece here, and this measures 3 3/4 by 2 1/2, and that is going to sit in here like so. Now you'll see I don't have any peel-offs on this piece of pattern paper, and that's because I've taken one of the ephemera pieces. I have put some peel-offs on it and a little piece of foam tape here, and I'm going to pop that down in the middle like so. I've then taken this cut apart. It was a cut apart and I fussy cut out the little floral display on that. I've added some peel-offs on the back, or I've added some foam pads on the back of this, and that way this one is going to sit in here and then the rest will sit around, so it'll balance it out, and that's going to sit on there like so. And that is going to be our card. We'll take some of our little gems and I'll pop a couple around on that and add some accent glaze to the front of the card. So that's how our card is going to look when it's assembled. I'm going to go ahead and assemble it now. There we go, a pretty simple, just layered pattern paper on our A2 size card, and I think it's lovely. We've got plenty of room inside to make a little, to write a little message, and yeah, I'm quite pleased with this card. I hope you like it as well. So now we're going to move on to card number 10. For card 10, we're going to finish up with again another A2 American size card. This can be a top folding card or a side folding card, whatever your preference is. For me, I'm going to make this a side folding card. And onto this, we're going to add some pieces. Now, this is a great one if you have scrap pieces left over, and this is what I've done with my scrap pieces. I've cut them all down, but we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, we want 2 pieces of white card because we have a blue card base, and these pieces measure 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I have one that's going to go on the front here, and then the other one is going to go inside. This little strip that I have here was one of the strips on the 12 by 6 cut apart sheets that we got. So I have that on there, and I don't think I have, it's 1 inch wide by 5 inches long. So 5 inches by 1 inch is that piece there, and that'll go inside. I have then cut these 12 pieces of 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch squares, and I have 12 of those, and they're all the different pattern papers, so we can take one of each. You know, I'll use the back of this and use the front then for another. So I have 12 pieces there, and they're just mixed and matched. I have this cut apart. Actually, this was an ephemera piece. It came in a large ephemera piece, and I cut this down. So I have thanks friend, because we can always do with thank you cards. And I have this. I have used my nesting dies, my Love from Lizi nesting dies, and I've die cut out this circle. It's a 2-inch circle, and it has lovely stitched detail all around the edge. Onto that, I've stuck one of my little puffy stickers, and it's a shaker one, and it's a beach ball. And on the back then, I have popped down a little foam square just to give a little bit of dimension. So now we're going to just assemble the card, and it's pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead now and do that next. There we go. That is our 10th card using the lovely Summer Loving card kit, and it's the June 2023 card kit. And I hope that you have all enjoyed my video with my 10 cards. Anything from a beginner's card like this to more advanced cards like our Teepee card that we made, our card number 2. So that's it, folks. I'm going to leave you with some images of the cards that we've made. If you have enjoyed my video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing, and if not, you might click the subscribe button and ding the bell down below. That way you'll be notified next time I post another video. You can share your card makes on my Facebook group called Your Cards and Crafts, and you can also share them on Lizi's Facebook group, and I have links to those down below in the description. You'll find the measurements to the cards that we have made down below, as well as the timestamp. So if you want to jump to a certain card, we'll say card 6, you'll see below the measurements for card 6 and the time of the video that's at, so you can jump straight to that. So that's it. I would recommend, if you enjoyed my video and would like to see more inspiration, check out the other design team members for Love from Lizi down below. I'll leave links to their YouTube pages, that way you can pop over to them and you can have a look at their videos. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and until next time folks, take care, stay safe, and see you again soon. Bye bye.